organisations thinking about inclusion and thinking about that from a work perspective, but also from a participation and leadership perspective. I also run a couple of charities, and specifically focusing on women and girls and teenage girls, which is almost like going through the menopause, the perimenopause, go back to your teenage days. And yeah, and I ride my bike, try consistently to ride my bike 3 times a week if I can. I've had a little bit of a lapse at the moment, and I'm blaming that on my hormones.
Brilliant. Thanks, Anila. Moving on to Tracy, but before we do, I've had some reminders. It's always these things I forget when I introduce these things. You will have seen, Maria has just started the recording of this webinar. We are going to record the webinar, but we're not going to make a decision about whether we share it until later, depending on whether our speakers feel comfortable with what we end up talking about. So we're kind of treating this like a confidential conversation. And then it may be shared or it may not, but we'll make a decision down the line. And if you don't feel comfortable with it being shared as a guest as well, do let us know. Okay, introducing our second speaker then, Tracy, from, again, really doesn't need any introduction at all, but there we go. We're going to introduce Tracy. Tracy's going to tell us a bit about herself, but also, and Liz is with her, and you're going to tell us a little bit about a follow-on event at Bike Park Wales as well at this point, which we can talk about later as well. But if you can just tell us about that right up front, that'd be awesome. Tracy, who are you?
Hi, I'm Tracy. I'm ambassador of Bike Park Wales. I got into the sport about 5 years ago. My husband bought a bike for himself, but for me, and I took to it like a duck to water. So the bike was mine. I've been an ambassador for 3 years at Bike Park Wales. Love ladies' days, love mountain biking. Never done a webinar before, so it's great to see all these comments and all these faces. So thank you for the invite. And I don't know what else to say for now.
That's perfect. That's absolutely wonderful.
Is that an intro?
And Liz, you're there as well. Tech support, we're told, but Liz is the other ambassador, women's ambassador at Bike Park Wales, and you're just going to tell us a little bit about what to watch out for a follow-up event focused on menopause and perimenopause. Do you want to just mention that now?
Yeah, sure. So we are working on an in-person workshop at the bike park. We will basically kind of close it down a little bit, so it's a little bit more intimate, probably about 30 tickets that we'll have available, 30. We're pushing for more if we can, based on the space available. But we'll be doing like a workshop in the morning where we have a bit of a panel discussion with different riders and different people from the industry, their experiences with perimenopause, menopause, and how that's kind of converged with their mountain biking. And then we'll go for a lovely group ride in the afternoon and have some lunch together. And it's just a really good way of making connections and just talking about like-minded things. So watch out for it. We'll be probably posting more about it in the women's Facebook page on Bike Park Wales first, but then also like we'll spread the word far and wide, and I'm sure Fee will help us do that as well.
I absolutely will. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, so we've had a brief introduction, but I think before we get going with talking about your experiences of perimenopause and menopause, I want to get a little bit more insight into the part that mountain biking has played and does play in your lives. So you've both been riding for some time, regularly. Anila, you said you try and ride 3 times a week, but what role has it played in your kind of everyday lives, your days, your weeks, your existence? Can you just give us a bit more of a sense of the importance of mountain biking for you? Anila?
Yeah, I think mountain biking has been my saviour, to be honest, going through this journey of the perimenopause. And if it wasn't for biking, I wouldn't have known I was going through the perimenopause, because that's when I started to feel things were a little bit different. But actually, it's been my saviour as well, because mountain biking itself, in terms of it being a particular type of sport and different to other cycling disciplines, there's a lot to concentrate on when you're riding a mountain bike. And you're not just on a flat sort of like just sort of one gear and looking straight ahead. You're thinking about what's what's coming up ahead of you. You're thinking about the journey. You're thinking about features on the trail. And I think the fact that there is so much in mountain biking and the concentration and the focus, it's been a really good way of actually not being able to think about anything else that's going on in your life. And also the fact that, you know, with the menopause, like right now, this very moment in time, I'm really struggling to ride my bike because I know that my body is saying I'm too tired, I'm too exhausted. But I know if I get out, even for 30 minutes, that I know that I'm going to feel so much better when I come back. Now, I haven't done that today, and I feel disappointed in myself. You know, so that's the feeling that you get when you ride a bike, is like,
Yeah.
is, you know, just even to be out for like 30 minutes can be incredibly like just helpful to you, to your mental state of mind. And particularly when you're going through the perimenopause, because you really need to reset yourself, particularly when you are feeling tired and exhausted. Doesn't mean you need to go on top of a, you know, do like a 1,000-meter climb. You just go out for a little poodle on your bike, and that can be really the best thing for you when you're having a crap day.
Can I just ask then, just in terms of mountain biking for you, how long have you been riding?
I've been riding since I was 21. So I'm 50.
So, like,
I'm in like the chat. I love the chat. I'm in that 50s zone, like
okay,
a few other folk.
And has it always been a part of your kind of weekly routine? Just something you just fitted in, it rides every now and again, 2, 3, 4 times a week?
I hated it when I first started. So it was something that my partner, actually it was somebody that was at university with me, and the chap said, "Do you want to go out on a date?" And that date happened to be a mountain bike. And yes, I actually scared the life out of myself. That something really kept me hooked into it. And 30 years later, I'm still with that particular person as my husband, and he and I ride bikes, and that's probably what has kept us together for 30 years.
Okay, so it's been a huge part, rocky start, but it's been a huge part of your life. Yeah. Tracy, you've been riding for, was it 6 years? Did you say?
Coming up to 6 years. Yes. Yeah.
So tell us a bit about the role that mountain biking's played in your pre perimenopause. How did it play out in your routine? Because you work really long hours, you've got shift patterns. Like how have you kind of fitted mountain biking in, and what roles it played in your life?
So I keep the weekends purely for my enjoyment, which is mountain biking, the sport I love. Night shifts is what I do in the week. But yeah, my experience so far during menopause is it's a journey. It has been a journey for me, and it has been overwhelming. Understanding, listening to your body, and taking that time out and relaxing. Yeah.
So what were for both of you, what were the kind of early signs? Like Anila, you said, it was mountain biking because you rode regularly. That gave you this indication that things were changing. So what was the early signs for both of you that things were changing, that your body was going through something that you needed to pay attention to?
Oh, with me.
Asking for a friend.
Oh.
Yeah.
The early signs for me was I couldn't explain what I was going through. I was experiencing brain fog. I was experiencing weight gain. I couldn't string a conversation together. I couldn't concentrate. I'd be riding my bike, and all of a sudden I would forget which was my back brake, which was my front brake. And these started, and again, I didn't realize it was menopause. So a good 6-8 months after that, even though I had the symptoms, talking to a friend, and she said, "Tracy, do you think you're going through the menopause?" And then that's when I first found out. I'm 53, so I would say I've been going through it for the last 4-5 years maybe, but it's only been the last 18 months that I think I'm full blown. you know,
Okay.
I'm fully blown. I'm there.
Yeah.
And I've started to take note of what it is and what I need to do, talking to people. Liz has been a great help. When Liz was going through pregnancy, Liz was going through hormone imbalance and things like that. And we started comparing and realised that Liz may be perimenopausal as well.
Maybe.
You know,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's
So there's some. So that's really interesting that you mention paying attention to our bodies, and I think, you know, I'm full disclosure, I'm 46. I'm knocking on the door of this and possibly already there, who knows. And this is, you know, this is very, very present in my own world. And I think it's very interesting that it sometimes takes a friend to allow us to pay attention to our own bodies and perhaps not blame ourselves for things that we're experiencing. Anila, tell us a little bit about your the moment. That sounds very binary, but the experience of when you first began to pay attention to your body going through perimenopause. What happened?
Well, I don't actually know. I can't pinpoint it. I think I can pinpoint it, but it could have been a few years earlier than that moment. Where was it? There's a kind of like light bulb moment for me, because I did have burnout, and you know, I was off sick with work when I was worked for employer for 3 months. And you know, I really was so confused about myself and who I was, and it was more a kind of mental state of mind. There was a lot of other things going on as well at work, and you know, and I had to. I'm not sure whether that burnout had something to do with the start of perimenopause. I just don't know, because I don't even know if I'm postmenopausal or perimenopausal. You know, this is the problem with this the system, is that I was on contraceptive, then I decided to come off it, and I didn't have a period for 5 years. And but then I had some activity in my womb that I had to get addressed, and that then highlighted that there's some activity. So one doctor told me I was postmenopausal, one doctor told me I'm perimenopausal. So I'm assuming that I'm perimenopausal. Okay. That for me, that moment then was when I was out riding my bike with my mates. And, you know, I'm usually kind of in the middle. You always sort of think about where you are, don't you? Where are you on the pecking order when you're on a bike ride? And I was like, I usually like to kind of be in the middle, you know, and sometimes I maybe like 2 or 3 up front. But I was just like, oh, I was like pushing the pedals. It's like I was kept going to the back of the group, and it's like, and then it was like the whole group was ahead of me, and I was at the back, and I was like, I'm working so hard here. I'm pushing, like I'm really pushing these the power through these pedals as much as I can. And that was, and I felt like, oh my goodness, what's wrong with me? What's happened? Is it something wrong with my physical state? And yeah, I didn't go back. I went back home feeling lifeless, to be honest. And I never shared my story that day with anyone. But that was really a kind of sense of something was wrong, you know. And I think maybe if women don't exert that much kind of energy in a sport, they might not know these things till really later on, because that's when things happen, you know, when you're really exerting yourself.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So for you, it was physical in the first instance, and Tracy as well, you know, feeling foggy, brain fog, exhaustion you mentioned as well. Did both of you notice exhaustion earlier on, or is that something that's manifested a bit later? Tracy, what about you?
Manifested later. I didn't feel
so it was,
but in saying that, I did start to have aches and pains. And I think my doctor said I had the onset of arthritis. When I went to physio, as a soft tissue therapist and things, he said, you haven't got arthritis. And then later on, looking back, I realised it was the menopause, that the stiffness and things. Yeah.
I've heard that from other people I've talked to about this. Anila, have you had joints or muscle problems as well?
Yes.
Or is it
like I have got osteopenia, I mean, somebody has mountain biked all their life, right? To think that I'm super fit, I'm looking after myself, my body looks good, but actually I've ended up with osteopenia because nobody told me that mountain biking is a low impact exercise. So I never knew all these years. I know I've seen Tracy do all this stuff. I'm really excited to hear all her stories about it.
We'll come on to that. We'll come on.
I've been watching her on her Instagram now that I've found her. And anyway, where was I? Yeah, so like for me, it's been a you know, what was I saying again? Remind me.
You were talking about having your osteopenia.
Oh yeah, so osteopenia, right? So the thing is that we don't know that mountain biking is low impact. So all these years I should have actually been doing something to balance out the fact that I should be thinking about my bones. I should be thinking about keeping them strong. But actually I've come to a point now in my life where I've had to think about that, and that's been a really big factor in sort of deciding that mountain biking isn't just everything in my life. There has to be other things that go alongside that.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. There's a few really interesting questions coming through in the chat, which I am paying attention to. And I'm going to bring those questions in as we go through. I'm trying to multitask, which is quite a challenge at this time in the day, but I will do that. A lot of people are also saying that they're feeling that their performance is dropping. And that's quite a scary feeling. I mean, for me, that's really scary. I've always, you know, pride is probably a bit strong, but I've always valued my fitness and my strength so much, and being able to jump on a bike and go for a ride. How did you manage with when you first started feeling a drop in performance for different reasons? But Anila, you know, was that feeling of dropping out the back of the group, did that repeat? Or how did you cope with that?
Yes, that repeated itself constantly, and I was exhausted to the point that like I was like, why am I taking a nap in the afternoon? Like I had a nap today and it was great. You know, I had a 30-minute nap and it was like I sat and worked on my laptop on my bed. Now, at that point in my life, I was like, what is wrong with me? You know, I'm exhausted. I don't know how to, I should be busy. I should be active. I should be constantly like this. I didn't actually know what rest meant. Rest was not even a word in my, you know, in my dictionary. So obviously I was like really struggling with the fact that I wasn't performing as best as I could. But actually, I wasn't listening to my body as well at the same time. And that's when I started to introduce HRT, which has obviously helped me significantly to where I am today, but also my attitude towards the change in my life and the transition in my life has really benefited how I kind of view performance, and the fact that I'm going to have bad days and I'm going to have good days. I've had 10 bad days, but that's okay. I'm going to get it back, you know. Whereas I've had 10 bad days riding consistently 3 times a week. Now that would be, I mean, think about your self-esteem, how low you would feel. Like imagine a lot of women do cycling because of the pressures of how we need to look, and you know, and eating, but not actually balancing that with any exercise. You know, all these things that mentally you go through, and it's an uncomfortable space to be. So the physical actually impacts the mental big time.
Yeah, definitely.
And
what about you, Tracy?
Yeah, sorry, Tracy. I just said somebody put in capital letters the fear.
Yeah, fear. We'll come on to I want to talk a little bit more about the psychological side, but just first of all, Tracy, did you also experience this drop off of performance, physical performance, being able to keep up, feeling energized, and if so, how did you sort of cope with that?
I didn't suffer in that area so much because I got an e-bike, so I just put it into boost. But what I did,
great.
But what I did suffer with my ability and my confidence in riding that plummeted. I ride a lot with Liz, and she would take me down the higher end red trails and progress in my riding. And all of a sudden, I'd gone back to being so fearful of them and not being able to ride them. It was confidence with me rather than a physical flat. It was I couldn't understand all of a sudden why I was riding too slow when you know you're not meant to ride slow over gnarly stuff. I was just backtracking on everything. I felt like I'd never ridden a bike before. That was my
yeah, that's a story I've heard over and over again, and that's that I think is the most nerve-wracking thing for me looking at this in the future, because I think people, lots of people say after you have kids you get less brave, but for me it's the opposite. I'll chop myself down anything on a bike now. I don't know what that says about my kids, but there you go. I'm quite happy to. And the thought of and feeling brave is so empowering as a woman in a world that tells us we should be delicate and pretty, but I want to chop myself down mountains.
And I had to pep talk myself and change my mindset, because I'd had coaching with the guys at Bike Park, so I was more than capable of doing it. And being menopausal, your bones are brittle, because I wasn't taking any supplements for years because I didn't know. I wasn't eating the right foods because I didn't know. So one of the things that's helped me in that area is I'm really big on body armor, and it's almost my comfort blanket. It doesn't stop you from falling off, but if you do fall off, it gives you that level of protection, which gave me the more confidence then to go and ride some of the trails again that I do enjoy riding.
I've just changed my bike, so I'm not an e-bike. I've gone the other way. I've gone to a short travel cross-country bike from a big enduro bike, and actually that changed my whole mindset to riding, and just seeing all the chat and everyone talking about fear and all of these things. Well, instead of getting yourself worried about the fact that you can't do something, just find a different thing to do, because mountain biking doesn't always have to be at the kind of extreme end of what the sport can, or the activity can provide you. There's so much more it can. And so I got myself a short travel bike, and it's fantastic. Absolutely loving it. I'm just enjoying the climbing, and I'm enjoying different things rather than going, right, I'm going to, like you're saying, chuck myself off mountains. I've done that. I'm just like, I don't need to keep doing that, And I think it is about mindset and being comfortable with yourself to say that that's okay.
Yeah, that's really really interesting, and takes us beautifully into our next section of the discussion, which is about how mountain biking has helped you in your journey through perimenopause and menopause. So we talked a lot about the challenges, as someone, women who have been fit and active, for whom mountain biking has been a huge part of your life, having these mental, psychological, physical blockers is just incredibly challenging. But what about the other side? How is mountain bike? Because you both still ride, and it's still a huge part of your lives. Even if you didn't ride today, Anila, that's fine. But tell us more about how you use mountain biking to cope and to manage perimenopause and menopause/menopause. Tracy, what about you? How is mountain biking helping you in your menopause journey?
Good fresh air, being outdoors. It's surprising the impact that will have. And then taking your bike on a cross-country ride, meeting up with people. For me, sorry again, but my place to go is Bike Park Wales. Meeting like-minded women. That's helped me during the menopause, because again, talking and discussing. And you're going to laugh at this one. It's nothing to do with mountain biking. Growing tomatoes. I've been growing tomatoes. It's really helped me during the menopause.
I thought you said, Tracy, I thought you said throwing tomatoes.
No, growing them. Because sometimes with the menopause, you can wake up and I don't want to ride my bike. I don't want to get, you know, you had that mindset. But I started tomatoes from that, saplings and things, and it's really helped. So it's like what you said earlier, Nelia, is finding something alongside mountain bike, and that gives you that passion, and then that instantly makes me feel happy most mornings, and then get out on the bike then in the fresh air, outdoors
Yeah.
all the way.
Mindfulness.
It's almost like you gotta do things. You've got to be able to forgive, like accept yourself, accept the fact that perhaps this morning is not the morning that I'm going to get up and smash out some miles on the bike, and that today
Oh,
I need
yeah.
to just forgive myself
Yeah.
and do something else.
And
What
then
about Anila? Tell us. Go on, sorry.
What's been good about mountain biking is my body temperature has changed. So it means in the winter I can ride outside for longer.
Well, that's good.
Because
Living in Scotland, as you do.
yes, because actually I have found that I'm a lot hotter. So you'll see me riding in a t-shirt. Actually, I did when I came down to Bristol. It was like a t-shirt, and you know, other people might be wearing jackets, and actually it's a real benefit to mountain biking because you get cold when you mountain bike, especially in the winter. And so I've loved the fact that I can take advantage of those hot flushes.
It's great, especially living in Scotland, where, you know, having a little bit of extra body temperature is probably fantastic, especially in the winter. So that's good. So tell us a little bit more about your change of bike, because you've always been the kind of enduro queen, and then
Yeah.
and so you switched things out for a cross country bike. Is that all the time, or is that just on some days that you're riding more XC
Well,
style?
I have kept the other bike, but I haven't really swapped around too much, and I'm sure I will because I have used the XC bike to try, you know, a few enduro trails, and it works fine. But that's not what the priority is for me anymore. And so the change in riding and the style of riding is definitely different. I'd say it's much more. Maybe the fact that there is, I don't want to admit it, but here we go. Maybe there is a bit of fear. As everyone else has admitted it, so maybe I should admit it here right now. But maybe there is a little bit of fear that has come in. But I suppose I don't like to call it fear because I want to look at things in a positive way. And it's just about a change in life. The perimenopause has changed me significantly as a human, and my whole outlook towards living. And so that has changed the way in which I see riding. And it doesn't need to be something that's going to I'm not looking for the big challenge. I'm just looking to go out for a nice ride.
Yeah.
I suppose that's what the difference is, and that's a big thing to admit, right?
Yeah, that's an adaptation. And I think looking back, I haven't been through perimenopause and menopause, but I've been through pregnancy 3 times, and I had the same, albeit shorter, moment where I had to adapt mountain biking and accept that it was playing a very different role for me, both during pregnancy but also afterwards, when I was, you know, exhausted and sleep deprived and time poor. It became something really different, and I had to accept that it wasn't about progressing. It was just there to provide me a way to get into the woods and get some fresh air, and that's completely valid, and that was okay, but it is an adaptation. Tracy, what about you? Has your riding have you adapted your riding? And you talked about the fear and anxiety and confidence, but have you managed to adapt successfully?
Yes, I too change my clothing so I don't wear so much like jersey, so when I'm having my flushes, and if I don't feel like riding anything that I would normally ride, I just take a step back and just listen to myself, and I don't put any pressure on myself. I'm not embarrassed anymore to talk about menopause. I do talk about it with my friends and my riding buddies, and the ones that aren't going through the menopause. They're certainly getting educated now, and they understand where I'm coming from, and they're happy for me to ride at the back or Yeah, so I've definitely adapted. Yeah.
That's great, and actually brings me on to the next thing I wanted to talk about, which is community. So one of the most incredible things I've learned about during Project Fierce is how powerful women-only mountain bike communities are, not just for mountain biking, but for also fostering all the amazing benefits that mountain biking can bring and being in the outdoors. Somebody's mentioned the word outdoor therapy. And it absolutely, mountain biking is a portal to outdoor therapy, and I want to talk about community. So, you know, I think this is potentially the first generation where menopause was a topic of conversation, and that we can get together and have an open conversation about it. I think the generations before us genuinely are still embarrassed, and would not talk about this. You know, my mum definitely would never have a conversation about this in an open forum, and it's so important that we can support each other. Can you both give us a little bit of an indication about how maybe you've had communities that have supported you, or perhaps you are the person who's supporting other people? How has the community of mountain biking helped you navigate this time?
I don't know much about the communities and things, but all I do know is that we've recently we laugh enough.
Don't worry, carry on, please.
We're going through it, and Liz and I we're going to start doing some workshops. So I'm still learning myself about.
If I'm going to answer this for you,
Well,
actually, I
yeah.
think Tracy's really struggled to actually have community, even though we run the women's
Yeah.
page and do the women's ride and stuff like that. I think you realised you've had to become that point for everyone else, I think, and that's
Okay.
it. That's what's been really interesting, is the fact that coming to the realization of where you are in your menopausal or perimenopausal journey, and actually going, we need to talk about
Yes. Yeah.
no one talks about this. Let's open the conversation. And I think that's why I laugh, because she said she's got no community. Well, she's helped create one.
Okay, that's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Neela, what about you? How have you? Maybe you are also the community. I mean, you've been incredibly and so inspiring and helpful in your that you're vocalizing your perimenopause journey. Maybe you are the kind of the center of the community, or have you felt you've had support from other people?
Yeah, no, it's been a bit of both for me, to be honest. I'd say that I've called this kind of journaling on Instagram the perimenopause merry-go-round. And I've documented my experience of the perimenopause since October, I can't remember, October 23, I think. And so what's been quite inspiring about that whole process is even if you look back at those posts, they're the only posts that actually get so many different responses from women, and you know, and others to they say that yes, thank you, I'm going through the same thing, you know, and thank you for sharing your story. This is how I feel. And it's, you know, I might always put it in a really sensible way, but actually today I put a post up, and this woman, she's German, so she would just get straight to the point, and she said, breasts are getting big, tummy bloating, emotions up and down, tired all the time, no good sleep, unmotivated, trying not to complain and enjoying every positive moment. You know, so it just made me laugh because she just said it bluntly, like what everybody is feeling out there. And the fact that actually women can, and I keep not women, but women and, you know, trans men and people out there that experience the perimenopause, you know, they've got an opportunity to have a community and to share their thoughts and to share their experiences together and know that they're not alone. And I think sometimes somebody's got to, it's like you, Tracy, somebody's just got to kind of like go, right, sod it, let's just get out there and tell the world how this really feels. Let's get down to the reality of this shitty part of our lives and just get it, you know, just tell the truth of what it's really like, because we see all these adverts that tell us about, you know, buy this hormone tablet and you'll feel amazing and you'll be there. and if you do this, if you do my weights exercise, you look amazing. It's not like that. It's a bloody nightmare. But actually, there is a solution. There's lots of solutions to it, and that's why we have to talk about it, you know, and we have to talk about it in a true, like, honest, authentic way. And also, like, people that I rode with, I wouldn't have known about the perimenopause if it wasn't for them. I'm going to put a shout out to my friend Julie, and she just started talking about it, and everybody's like, "Hey, I'm feeling like that. Yeah, my breasts have got bigger." You know, it's like, what's going on? It's like, you can tell I don't want this recorded, right? And it was just like everybody's coming out with this stuff, and yeah, and actually, yeah, I forgot what I was talking about, and then I didn't know how to get my train of thought back. All these things, and then it was just like, this is what it is, and actually, there's something you can do about it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, I think that the community is so important, and airing the conversation and being brave. You two are so brave because you've just gone out there with your experiences, and I can't tell you how important that is. You know how important it is, but how inspiring it is, and how it just normalizing the conversation is so powerful. And there's a lot of people in the chat saying that they talk about it in groups, mixed groups, and actually they found that the chaps, the men in their group, are beginning to understand and actually pay attention, because of course they want to support their female partners or their female friends, and it's really important they also understand. So we need to keep talking about this. Okay, so I want to sort of move to a point where I open up to questions pretty soon, and I know there's a couple of hands raised already, and I'm sure there are more that I can't see, but I wanted to ask, first of all, before I do that, whether you've got any advice. I'm not putting you on a pedestal as experts. This is not your professional area, I know, but you are experienced. You know, you have got first-hand experience. But what advice would you give women, perhaps women who mountain bike, that if you could go back a few years, that you would have done yourself? You know, what have you got any thoughts, advice for women that are, you know, perhaps 46-year-old mountain bikers who are perhaps going to knock on the door of perimenopause any minute, let's say, for example? Any great advice?
Do you want to go, Tracy, or do you want me to go? Shall I go?
Advice.
You go.
Yeah. Okay. Just be kind to yourself. Listen to your body. Talk to your partner. It's for me, it's been really important explaining to Kevin, my husband, if I feel I'm having a bad day, pre-warn him, so then he's gentle then, because arguments can really occur quite quickly, especially if you're having a bad day. Diet is a massive thing. You mentioned earlier about supplements and proteins and things like that. I bought those. I spent a fortune on them. When I recently started the gym and had a PT, everything I needed is in my food. If I have the right amount of protein, the right amount of carbs, and at the right time, you know, I've significantly changed so much in 8 weeks doing PT with a diet plan and doing the right exercises, and sleep is so important, you know. Keep a diary. I would keep it for about a couple of months just to see if you can see a regular pattern occurring, and just address each topic symptom as it arises. Talk to your friends. If you are having a bad day, take yourself out. Don't feel like you need to explain to people why you're feeling what you're feeling when you don't feel like talking, because for me, it just made me frustrated. And then I was beating myself up because I was just talking gobbledygook. I couldn't get my words out. It's only you can do you. And so just do you and just learn from yourself. Take advice, and then see if you can tweak it or tailor-make it to yourself, which is what I've done. And it is a journey. It is a journey, and we all go through it. Some women go through it in a short space of time. Some people go through it a long time. HRT, yes. HRT, no. Whatever suits you, do you. Yeah, that would be my advice.
And I think that's so interesting. So pay attention, educate yourself. Don't bury your head in the sand. Learn about yourself. Seek advice. Seek friendships. Don't apologize. Just reach out and learn. Absorb every bit of information that we can. This is something. It's unavoidable. And it's just one of those things that we go through. Try and see the positives. Anila, tell me what your great advice is, please, my friend.
Yeah, you know, I think think about this like, you know, the fact that this is like going back to your teenage years, right? So it's going to be like a change of life, but actually you might like feel like you're going through a washing machine as, you know, as part of that sort of process, but you know, like you'll come out the other end, and I'm not meaning like years later, just as Tracy says, as you address the symptoms and then you start to understand the patterns, it's like you'll be absolutely amazing by the end, if you come through this process. You know, I think one of the things is that we look at it in such a negative way. We don't want to talk about it. We can't say to people at work, you know, we're having a bad hormone day. But actually, if we can get to a point where we, you know, go through this transition and just recognize that actually you'll come out an even stronger human being from the whole kind of life change. You know, I hear lots of women saying, "Oh, I don't worry about what other people say anymore." You know, I hear a lot of women say that actually when they go through this process, and they do have that confidence to be themselves and to be comfortable in their skin. And I think that has been the journey for me. Like, and it has had to take some knocks to get there through the perimenopause. But once you find that balance, when you know, I'm not an expert, but I've experimented with HRT, you know, taking too much estrogen, and then felt like it was like, you know, at times I was on a high because I wasn't balancing it well with my progesterone. I've gone on to testosterone as well, and so as you and the food and all of these different things, and the resistance training, and once you get that balance, that happy equilibrium, I think, you know, you can be very consistent and focused and be in that moment. So I think I don't know what that advice is then. I have to summarize that. It's just, you know, be prepared and celebrate the fact that this is going to be a change of life, and don't see it as a bad thing. See it as a thing that you're going to embrace positively, and see it as a strength for yourself to become a better person and a better human being.
Amazing. There is one thing that I'd just like to pick up with both of you. A couple of people in the chat have talked about people they know who've given up mountain biking during perimenopause or menopause because of the fear, because of the doom gremlins. I love that phrase, the doom goblin on the shoulder, and also potentially you know, negative experiences if your only option is to ride in mixed gender mountain bike groups, which, as we all know, are not mixed gender mountain bike groups. They're male dominated mountain bike groups. And I can see how that could lead to particularly uncomfortable experiences for women, and a risk of them exiting altogether and leaving it. So, you know, is there something that you would say, you know, I feel like I want to hold on to those women and say, keep mountain biking, find a way, find some other women to ride with, keep going. Do you think the benefits of mountain biking are so important during this time, particularly important during this time? How would you keep people in mountain biking during the menopause?
It's like Tracy said, just get an e-bike. I mean, I have seen like the charity run a women's guided rides for over 10 years now. And the women that were coming, you know, that 10 years ago slipped away that actually have come back through e-bikes. And I found a brand new love for the sport. So, and you know, if we look at like the industry as well, and push bikes versus e-bikes are they're booming. It's a huge market, and why shouldn't women use e-bikes as well? A lot of women don't tend to think that they will go for e-bike because they think, oh, they'll lose all their like sort of fitness side of it, or they'll put on weight. And so women that they tend to take longer to get on an e-bike. But actually being on an I'll leave it to Tracy to tell you what it feels to be on an e-bike. So, but that's I've seen that a massive change in women because of that through the perimenopause.
That's really helpful.
Yeah. But yes, it's expensive.
Yeah, but getting less expensive, to be fair.
Sorry. If a friend of mine, and she was trying to give up mountain biking because of going through the menopause. And the reason women do mountain biking is because they absolutely love it. They had a passion for it to begin with. So it's definitely the symptoms. I would encourage them to go on a refresher coaching course. I would encourage them to go on Ladies' Days, lots of pages, lots of groups do it. Even if they don't feel like riding, because we know from experience, haven't we, Liz, that we've had women turn up and they've only come up for a couple of hours and they've been so grateful because it re-sparked their passion. It re-sparked their love for bike parking. I'm so pleased that Ladies' Days all over, not just with us, are taken off. Forest Dean are doing it, and more women are doing it. So my advice would be, if you have a friend that is losing a passion for mountain biking because of the menopause and the symptoms, because I don't think it's a good idea either to ignore those symptoms and them feelings. You've got to deal with them, you've got to address them, and if they're not ready to go smashing down the trails they normally do, that's perfectly fine. I would a refresher coaching course will give them the confidence to realize, oh my gosh, I do know what I'm doing. And when they got off the drop again or on the berm, it will spark off that passion. Ladies' Days, talking about it. And just let them go there. But I wouldn't chuck them in the deep end. Definitely not. I would. I would, but I would encourage, because it's it was encourage. With the e-bike, I've only ever known an e-bike. I like to feel grounded. I did try a normal bike, an analog, and I hated it. I couldn't ride it. It wouldn't move. I found it really hard to pedal. But I do like e-bikes, because before I went to Bike Park Wales, I did about 1.5 years cross country, and the mountains we would go up, we would ride up North Wales, was it Snowdonia, Snowdon, up, we'd ride up there on the bike certain times. I couldn't walk up there, never mind on an ordinary bike. So an e-bike will take you to places where an ordinary bike and lack of fitness would take you. So an e-bike for me has given me a passion for mountain biking. It has improved my fitness, and it does work your cardio, it does work your muscles. It's a misconception when they say it doesn't. You can use boost and things, but then your battery will only last 2 minutes. You have to pedal. It does work. It's brilliant for the older women who have got bad knees, or the older lady who is menopausal. It will get you out there and it will kickstart you. It's brilliant. I love e-bikes.
And you can still you can still be fit, like some Natalie said. If it's an eco mode, then you're still good for your fitness. So we've got to kind of like address these concerns that women have around e-bikes, I think. So like, why is it taking them longer to kind of step up to going on one?
They are expensive.
They are expensive.
They are expensive. But there's a wide market now for second-hand e-bikes, and because they don't hold their value. If I wanted another e-bike, I would buy second-hand. I wouldn't necessarily buy new.
Brilliant. I think it would be this is a good point to open it up to a more general discussion, particularly, you know, obviously there's lots of people here and you all have had different experiences, and it would be really interesting to hear your own experiences, but also feel free to ask Anila and Tracy questions. Some people have posted questions already. But or to share advice, share insights as well. I think one thing that I'm definitely keen to hear from everybody is whether you think there is there are things that, you know, groups or communities or organizations can do more of, to, because you don't hear much from, you know, British Cycling or Baker Cymru or whoever other sort of, you know, cycling or mountain biking organizations. You don't hear an awful lot about menopause from them. That's not, you know, there are some things, but there's not a huge amount of support for this stage of life. And I just wondered whether or not you felt during the conversation, if you have any thoughts about what might be useful to be on offer, that would be really, really helpful to know, because we might be able to do something about it. So please feel free to chip in, either type a question in the chat or just raise your hand. There is a raised hand from Christine Thomas. I'm not sure how long it's been there though, but feel free to unmute yourself, and Joe Letts has a question. Feel free to unmute yourself and ask it.
Hi guys, this is me. I don't know if I've just put my camera on. Nice to meet you all.
Hey.
Can you hear me? Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been really tough for me because I was into weight training, running. I rode a horse for 16 years and then lost her in a terrible field accident, and literally my equestrian life was over in like 30 seconds. I had to put my best friend down and there was nothing I could do about it, and that's how I got into mountain biking. So I bought an e-bike originally to go across Dartmoor to enjoy all of the bridleways, and then I went to Bike Park Wales. I did a flow course by myself in the most torrential rain. My e-bike died on me. I was I mean, oh my God, I feel like crying now. I was traveling up in the car by myself. I was terrified. My husband was supporting me massively. And, you know, I had such fear when I first started perimenopausal, like even just getting out of bed felt like I was going for some massive interview, and it just came out of nowhere and it was absolutely horrible. And I think mountain biking for me, even though it was a struggle in the beginning, was a massive, massive help. But I think the only thing that I would say is there's not a lot of support on how your body physically changes. So it's like now my muscles have changed. Okay. So I've been fit. I've been 11% body fat. I've done bodybuilding competitions. And then in June, I did the Cheddar Channel Events mountain bike race. And I was flat out. I rode it. I felt brilliant. I was taking, you know, like all my energy gels, stuff I would normally do in my 30s. And then all of a sudden, boom, for a month after that, I ended up in A&E. My muscles were cramping. I had no recovery. And I was thinking, what is going wrong? And my fueling was wrong, my recovery, everything. So, and this was all driven by my estrogen levels, you know, and just basically what happens when, you know, when you are, you know, hormonally shifting all the time. And I think that's the scary thing. You don't really necessarily get the information on how your body reacts to, you know, your muscle changes. The glycogen depletion for me was terrible. I wasn't switching to fat burning, and it's still happening now. I mean, I'm sat here talking to you guys and I'm getting cramping in my legs because I went to a Coldplay concert on Tuesday and jumped up and down a bit, you know. And like it's just crazy how you don't have that. Nobody tells you that your muscles will react differently in your body.
Definitely.
So
yeah, this is Marie has posted in the chat that training plans for women masters athletes would be good. And Zoe Woodman has also said that her group Girls Alive over in Surrey have run talks on this with a physio. So more, I mean, I have no clue how to change my fueling as I enter perimenopause. Absolutely zero idea. So much more information on that would be great. Anita, have you
Yeah, I mean, I think just very quickly, I think for me, like that happens quite a lot for me now. So if I do something quite intense, I know like that I'm going to have to rest my body. So, and I know there's potentially consequences with it. So I accept that my body has to go into some kind of shutdown for a while, and in order for it to recuperate. And that's what I was talking about earlier. That didn't exist in my, in my thinking ever when I was younger, but it's much more there than ever before. Is knowing, even those power naps make a massive difference to me. 30 minutes for a sleep, and then I just put my alarm on for 30 minutes and wake up, and then I feel so much better. So I think there's just sort of adapting how you think about training and how you kind of incorporate the rests as a result of like boosting yourself again after that.
And just one last thing before I obviously I don't, I feel like I'm talking too much now. I think it was the fear as well of not knowing what was happening, and like my husband was going, oh, what's wrong with you, and I said, but you're a man, you don't know what you're, I'm trying to follow him on the mountain bike, and I said, your recovery and the way you're riding your bike is completely different to mine. I mean, when I was like bonking and like running out of energy, and that switch from glycogen to fat burning just wasn't happening for me. I could literally feel it. It's like, why is this happening? And like Andy was just off and he was going, well, you weren't like this a month ago. And I said, this is literally how fast it's changed for me. And I'm just going through this process to change. But anyway, thank you. And I will sit back and listen.
Thanks, Jo, for sharing that. And it's something, we haven't talked about a huge amount, but I know, Tracy, you've also invested quite a lot, haven't you, in learning about fueling through your personal trainer?
Yes, and I'm still learning, but the importance of understanding how the food works and how it repairs your body and how it fuels your body, like the protein, the carbs. I don't know too much about it. I'm still learning. I'm going to hand you over to Liz because she knows quite a bit about that. But before I do, for Jo, on about muscle cramps, I bought one of these.
Yeah.
It's a pulse, and it really does have. Are you familiar with these, Jo? Could she see me? Are you familiar with that?
My husband, actually, bless him, honestly, because poor Andy, I have made him read Davina's book and everything, because I said, if you don't read this book, we're going to get divorced, right? Seriously, it was that bad, right?
I said the same to my husband.
He was brilliant because he was concerned, my personality was changing and he couldn't understand. And he bought me one on Amazon, but it's like, it's just getting used. I mean, I think there's a lot. I've been reading up about a fascia. Is it your muscle fibers between, like, how your muscles slip across each other?
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm struggling at the moment because I've put on a stone in weight, and that happened after I bonked on that ride. I had to literally stop, and I was intermittent fasting, which worked for a bit, but I cannot fast anymore. It's like my body needs fuel, and using the massage gun actually has helped. So brilliant
with the cramps, and I do it after each bike ride, 2 minutes on each main muscle, and I really found it, and it helps me sleep in the night.
Magnesium is another one I felt as well. Magnesium baths.
That was the next thing I'm going to show you.
She's got this table of stuff.
I've got a table of stuff. So my 3 lifesavers is my massage gun, my magnesium sleep,
and chocolate.
It's all about balance.
And it's all about balance, but it's only 2 squares a day. And it's dark.
Dark
But
chocolate.
honestly, these two things are really good because they help with restless legs. And if you are on the bike, you get a lot of jerking with the neck and or what have you. That really does help. But I tried it for a couple of weeks now, and it works for me.
So if you start magnesium, sorry to interject, it won't work overnight. You need to use it for about a week or 2 weeks so that it slowly penetrate your body, and then it will start having an impact. And you can do it as a lotion, which is quite nice to rub in before bed. There's a spray, or you can take capsules as well, which also help.
I mean,
It's good for everyone.
I don't know if anybody's used this, but this active cherry juice is you take it before bed, because I was having really bad sleep problems, and it's fantastic. It's like promotes natural melatonin. Is it melatonin?
Yeah, sleep hormone.
Yeah, so that I found is really, really good. So because my sleep's been affected as well really badly in the last 2 months.
It's funny you should mention cherries because I've just started eating cherries because for them reasons you're doing, and they're a natural for inflammation. So I'm eating them fresh because they're in season at the moment. I won't be able to get them in the winter. So in Tesco's, you can buy the frozen bag ready, stock up to have a couple.
Amazing. Cherry. I love cherries and I love chocolate. So far it all sounds brilliant. Anila, any other things that you found that have worked for you? And obviously everybody's different, but have you had any revelations other than a new bike, which is always a good thing?
Yeah, look, it's all about finding that happy equilibrium, I think, for me. And then sometimes, with you might kind of work on one thing. Like I was saying that I take HRT, and it might benefit one thing, but then something else suffers as a result of that. Sleep is a big issue for me, because I can get to the point where I'm up 5 times a night, and I have to give, again, it's all about adapting the way you live, because I actually take myself to bed and give myself 9 hours sleep to get 7.5 hours sleep. So I get a full rest every night, but I'm in my bed for longer. So, it's just all these little strategies that you make for yourself so that actually you can still feel healthy and feel good and positive about things. But it's just about doing things in a different way. I think the resistance training has helped me significantly because the one with the bone density, but also with helping with your muscle mass, and the fact that helps me ride longer. So I found that just recently, I've always been good at endurance, but I'd say my endurance is definitely, I can go for miles and miles, at a really steady pace, not a fast pace, but a steady pace. And I think the resistance training, I got myself a personal trainer for the first time in my life ever. It's an online personal trainer. And it forces me to do resistance training twice a week. So I've got my own gym. I've built up my own kettlebells. I don't like going into gyms. Maybe I'll change my attitude. Everyone's trying to get me to change my attitude, but I do it all in my own home with my resistance bands, my kettlebells, and that's fine. I don't need to go and go into a gym. I feel intimidated in a gym. And I know CrossFit, a lot of women are doing CrossFit and they're really loving it and embracing it, which is amazing. There's a big community here where I live. But for me, that's not for me. I just got to do it on my own. And I think that in itself has made me feel like actually the changes in my body I can embrace better, because I've always wanted to be thin. I know that's a pressure from society, and I've always been thin, but actually body has changed. I'm still thin, but I don't see myself as thin because of the shape of my body. So resistance training has made me feel like actually there's other things that I can value about myself in terms of being strong rather than actually being thin.
Yeah. I think that's so powerful, and it speaks back to what you were both saying earlier about finding other things. So as much as mountain biking's, will always be my true love. It's my absolute passion, and I know it is for both of you as well. But there are days when you might just not have it. You might not feel great, and having other things that bring out your character, your passion, make you feel good about yourself, and make you value your body as well in different ways. I think that's so important. And I do strength training, have done for a long time, ever since I was 15. And I can't tell you how I every time I step away from the weights, I feel brilliant, because I feel absolutely invincible, and I feel like I'm so strong. It's so powerful. And I can imagine how great that is when you're feeling crap about your body in other ways. I really hear you on that. Are there any other questions or comments or experiences that anyone else wants to share? There's lots of amazing, helpful advice and links being posted in the chat, which is absolutely brilliant. But has anyone else got anything that they'd like to share or ask our guests? Jo, go for it.
Sorry, it's me again.
It's fine.
Tracy, this is one for you actually, right? So, I mean, it's a bit difficult for me at the moment. I've got one of my friends, bless her, she's really struggling with the menopause. So she's kind of disappeared. So I've lost my buddy, right? So she used to go to the gym with me, and it's been a real struggle for me because I feel quite lonely at the moment, because I've had to like go it alone now, because they're in such a terrible place that, and I didn't, for me, this hasn't happened, but for a lot of women, I think they don't want to be around people. They could, you could be like, your best friend could suddenly just drop off the planet and just go, do you know what? I just need to be alone. People irritate me, just people breathing irritate me, so she's gone into this kind of mode, and I've had to let her go. And it's been hard for me. So I'm thinking about coming to the Ladies' Day at Bike Park, Wales on the next one, and I've got a green card from my husband and said, you will look after the dog, Drew. Right? Yeah. And I know it sounds ridiculous, so I am going to come, but I'm also a bit nervous because it's just going to be me, so hopefully it'll be all right.
You'll be fine. Liz and I and a lot of the team will be there to support you, and you'll be fine. Honestly, the day's going to be amazing. You may come alone, but you won't ride alone. We look after you. The days are fantastic. But going back to your friend, everybody goes through menopause differently. You've been affecting it through your physical body. Your friend is obviously going through it through a different emotional and mental side of it, from what I'm gathering, because she's taken herself from it. I have a friend, we're both going through, I have a few friends, and one of my friends is like that. And my advice to you would be is if she can't cope at the moment to meet up or ride with you or anything like that, send her daily texts on WhatsApp. Just let her know that you're thinking of her. And then when she comes out of it, because she will come out of it, she'll peak and trough, because that's going to be her journey. Everybody's journey is different. And then when she comes through that, then she'll feel comfortable enough to pick up where she left off with you. Because when my friend was going through it, I didn't know she was going through it at the time until she'd been through it, and we'd had this gap. So I knew then when it happened again, the one fear she had was she felt embarrassed to ride with me again, because she felt like she just dropped me like a ton of bricks, but had no control over it. So when she did want to get back riding and she was feeling back to normal, that door was still open, because I kept in contact with her saying, just send her a kiss or some flowers, on a text now, not buying her flowers. just to let her know that, I'm thinking of you, I know what you're going through, it's fine. If you want to talk, just always got an extended olive branch. You will get your best friend back, I promise you.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I think as well with women, like my friend, she rode the Atlantic, okay? And she's that type of person. She's rode the Atlantic, she's always been top of her game. She's very successful as a businesswoman. And then when we hit this perimenopausal and menopause, even myself, I work, I've got a high-end job as well. I mean, and I work high level with men, and you're trying to maintain this pace that you kept up in your 20s and 30s, and you put so much pressure on yourself. And I think that's what happened to her. She was like trying to compare herself now to what she was 5 years ago, and you can be cruel inside as well. I mean, you can be so self-critical and then almost punish yourself for becoming, I hate to say it, you go, Christ, you look in the mirror and go, how have I become this pathetic shell of a woman, from what I was even a year ago? And sometimes it can overwhelm you, to a point where if you're not kind to yourself, I think that's what's happened. And then once you get over that, because I kind of did that a few years ago, you then, the day I realized how bad I'd been to myself and what I was doing, self-sabotaging, like I was using food control. So I would starve myself for a day to try and get some control in my life. And then that was absolutely terrible. And it took me to go through that journey. And the day I actually apologized to myself for being so horrible was just, it was mind blowing, and I think that's what happens to a lot of women.
Yeah. And I think we said earlier, one of the key things to always hold in your hand during menopause is being kind to yourself. Listen to your body, be kind to yourself, because you can become your own worst enemy. And once you start being critical and judgmental, that is when you're going to plummet. It's okay to have that conversation of things for 2 minutes and then shake it off, do a little Taylor Swift, shake it off, because you've got to release it, and and you will learn. But keep a diary, see what triggers you, see what foods triggers you, see what behavior or conversations. It really does benefit.
I think the thing I'm finding difficult with, because I've also got some very, very close friends who've been a huge part of my life, who have just gone, disappeared, and then re-emerge every few weeks after this sort of, for me, a painful silence. And it's that, and I find it difficult because I need them. I even though I recognize that they need to not be around people, I need them, and I feel this sort of fluctuation of kind of resentment and then understanding, of course, and then resentment, and this is sort of just loneliness, I think, is really, really challenging. And I have to remember that, everyone's going through this in different ways and need different things. But it is really, I think it's really difficult, and it's really interesting hearing that you guys have experienced the same thing with people. Tracy and Anila, have you wanted to kind of disappear or bury yourself or be on your own, or have you wanted to, has it affected how your social lives?
I haven't, no. I've been okay in that area. The only thing that was a shock to me is once or twice I would just start crying in the middle of the street or something. That was the only thing that's happened to me. But to take no, I've been okay in that area.
Okay. Anila?
Yeah, I think it depends. I mean, I'm a bit of an extrovert, so it's like I need the world around me in order to, feel safe and comfortable, and I need to speak to other people to feel good. But I can imagine for other people like that aren't extrovert, that may be introvert, may have a different way of coping with things. So no, I've been very lucky to know that I've had people around me to talk to me, but also, I spend a lot of time on my own. I ride my bike on my own a lot, and that in itself is healing time, because it makes you think about all the things that maybe feel, that you're doubting, or you're maybe a little bit anxious about. And, you can come back with a plan in your head once you've been on a bike ride. So I suppose, having that me time is just as important as having time with others as well.
Yeah. That's really helpful. Wow, I think we've covered so many topics today. I feel really informed, and I feel like there's been an incredible conversation going on in the chat. I don't know if Anila and Tracy, you've managed to follow that at the same time, but there's been a huge number of suggestions and books and podcasts and experiences shared. I think I'll take out all the links to those and put them and share them with as just a resource, because I think this has just been a really amazing kind of collective co-created list of really useful further reading. I've got a little list of vitamins that I'm going to go and buy that I've been taking note of during the conversation, and it's been really, really helpful. Sorry, Tracy.
Yeah, can I just mention something? Because one of my main symptoms, it's only a quick one, was headaches. I suffered terrible with headaches. And what I was doing, I don't think it was anything to do with the menopause. I was drinking too much water, because they were saying you drink plenty of water, and I was drinking way too much, and I was washing out essential electrolytes and my potassium. So if anybody is having symptoms of headaches, it is a part of menopause as well, but maybe monitor how much water you are drinking, because as soon as I started doing the proper daily amount that I'm supposed to have for my body weight and size, my headaches have nearly gone. I hardly have a headache at all. So I was definitely drinking too much water. Just wanted to get that one in.
Yeah, can I just say that is totally true, because that happened to me. I was like literally I thought I was having migraines every day, and then I switched to electrolytes, and actually, because on the race that I last did, I actually spoke to a sports nutritionist, and they said to me that drinking water is actually bad for you. I don't know if that's true, but they said you need some kind of electrolytes in it. You know, like water, you can either pee it out because it's not giving you any nutrients, if that makes sense. You know, when you really need it, you can become, I was almost like dehydrated by drinking too much, because it was just going out of my body. My body didn't know what to do with it. It had nothing in it. And it's like, I switched to that. It did help.
It overpowers your kidneys. Yes, so it overworks them. But yeah, monitor your intake of fluid, water.
I think that's really useful. But Zoe makes a really important point as well, which is that not everything is menopause. So do make sure that you get checked out as well, and go and see a GP to talk things through. But there's, again, still loads more really useful advice and experiences here in the chat. But I think we ought to let everyone get on with their evenings. Thank you so much, Anila. Thank you so much, Tracy and Liz, for coming and for sharing your experiences. We really, really appreciate it. I'm really looking forward to the event at Bike Park Wales, and do share the information on that as soon as you can. And we'll get the word out and make sure as many people as possible can come in for that in-person event. And do check out the Fierce Project website. We've got other events that we mentioned earlier on, but they're all listed on the website as well. And it looks like lots of people are going to meet up, which is really nice. So, we are scattered by the looks of everyone's locations, but there are some really great opportunities for women-only riding coming up, including the Bike Park Wales, the next Women's Day, which is, remind me the date, Tracy? October the something. She's muted. 12th, is it?
Sorry.
12th. October the 12th.
Of October.
12th of October.
Sunday the 12th.
Okay, so
right. Yeah.
Amazing. So that's the next Bike Park Wales Women's Day, which is always just super fun and hosted by Liz and Tracy. So you'll meet them there if you've never been before, and they always make everyone feel really, really welcome. That's absolutely amazing. And another date, if you're in England or Wales, I know some people here from Ireland, it's a bit further to travel, but in the Forest of Dean, there's the Hope Women's Enduro on the weekend of the 6th of September. Even if enduro racing is not your thing, I mean, I've entered, it's definitely not my thing, but I'm just gonna go for the vibes. But there will be a lot of women in the Forest of Dean that weekend riding bikes in one way or another, either with a number on their bike or not. And there's free camping as well, so do come down and enjoy that, and let's hopefully see a lot of you there.
I will be there. So anyone who has
Amazing.
any questions, fast enduro, any questions, anyone's nervous, message me. I will come find you, give you a hug. Just make sure you eat breakfast and you'll have a great day.
Yeah. It's going to be great. So thank you so much. We'll leave it there. Stay in touch, you know, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, make sure we stay in touch, and hopefully we'll catch up with some of you in person in events in the future. Have a lovely evening, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ladies.
Goodbye.
Bye. Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.